What's up, nerds? Welcome to the Silver Slurpee Podcast, where nerds come to chill. Joined by Hondo and Skinny Nerd, and we're just gonna kind of get right into it. A lot of things going on, especially in the movie, TV world of things. um,
Leaks, and more leaks.
Well, CinemaCon happened, so is that what you're talking about?
I actually no. I was just kind of just talking about just a lot of stuff between Marvel or between Daredevil and Invincible coming out every single week right now. Like those two shows, I feel like are keeping everyone on their toes, super stoked and busy with all of that, which has been awesome. And then plus everything going on with the Avatar TV series, or sorry, movie being leaked. Just lots of crazy stuff. Got some announcements for in the Aragorn kind of Lord of the Rings realm of things. Plus possibly a Wonder Woman casting, maybe.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
What's that? What?
Right, sorry.
No, I was just saying I had not heard about that. We had looked at having a Wonder Woman casting. That's all.
Possibly. So, I'm blanking on her name, but do you know it, Hondo?
I don't. She's been the rumored Wonder Woman for a while, the fan cast, but you said she's also playing a supervillain in the Superman.
Well,
potentially too.
It's people are just guessing. So she's been cast as an unknown character in Superman. So most people are thinking Wonder Woman, or possibly someone else, but that could be interesting.
Who's the character you said?
Adria Arjona, is that the name?
Yes.
And who are you saying, Silver Slurpee, that if she's not Wonder Woman, she's playing who? Is your thought? Do you remember?
Yeah, she could possibly be Maxima.
Yeah, that's what it was, Maxima.
But I don't know. I mean, obviously, who knows? It's all kind of speculation at this point. But a bunch of people, obviously, have been fan casting her as Wonder Woman. She all of a sudden gets cast as a major role in the Superman movie. Who knows? I would assume they got to start bringing in some more of the bigger DC characters here at some point, especially
when they still
Superman will be on his second movie. Supergirl will have had her first movie. We still don't have a Batman or anything like that yet, which I will say, like when Iron Man 2 came out, like a lot of the other Marvel stuff really hadn't kind of unfolded yet. So I feel like they just kind of used Iron Man as like the forefront of all that.
Yeah, we only had Cap, Thor, and Iron Man at that point.
I think so.
Yeah, and Clint Barton and Natasha Romanoff, I guess. So them five, and Loki, I guess, but he's not a superhero.
Yeah, well, and then I mean, like Hawkeye's little bit in Thor was super small.
Super small, yeah.
So I don't know. I think it'd be cool if they start getting some other big players in there. And also so that way we can hopefully start getting some solo Wonder Woman, Batman movies and stuff going on with that.
You guys have a fan cast for Batman that you would prefer? Everyone said from Reacher and Blue Mountain State.
So for me, that's who I think would be awesome for it. I totally think he can pull it off. He's freaking huge, and like in a good way. He's like super lean. You don't have to You don't have to put him in this like goofy looking bodysuit or give him a bunch of fake padded muscles. Like the renderings that people have like when they've put the Arkham suits on him, it looks like to a T. It's perfect. And I think he's a good size to go along with the Superman that they have, because I don't need like I'm fine with Batman being bigger, because obviously he's human, so all of his muscle is actually like realistic to
Muscle.
who he is versus Superman. Like, yeah, like I don't want some like weird looking Superman, but I don't like Superman doesn't have to be huge because he's got super strength, so he doesn't actually have to like worry about his physique and his bench press.
With Alan Richardson's size, I know people are fan casting him as a normal Batman, but I think he'd probably be better as an absolute Batman, and I know they'll never do that. But with how big he is, I bet, and he's young too. He's not an aged Batman like Ben Affleck or even later in Christian Bale's Batman career. But I think he could be a really cool absolute Batman if they ever decide to do that. I think we'd be lucky to get an animated series or an animated movie that featured absolute Batman. But with how popular it is, I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up pulling the trigger. He's already in. I don't know if you saw Scott Snyder announce that he's going to be in the new Lego Batman series that they're doing. The
Yes.
Arkham, whatever
I saw
it is.
Scott Snyder playing it actually.
Yeah, he's
Today.
playing it.
That was pretty cool.
Developer. Yeah, super cool.
No,
So
the
He's
absolute.
too old.
Go ahead.
Sorry, he's a little too old now to play the character he was really born to play. But I actually think Jensen Ackles wouldn't be a terrible Batman.
He voiced him. A few times in the animated.
He's an amazing Red Hood.
Yeah,
He's just unfortunately he's a little bit older now, so you can't. I don't think he would. He's quite young enough to pull off portraying Jason Todd. But I mean, he was in the animated movie for Under the Red Hood. He voiced
Jason
Hood. Yeah, he did. He voiced the Red Hood, and he did. I mean, to me that is like the definitive. This is how Red Hood should be.
Oh, I thought he voiced Batman, but maybe I'm wrong then.
What
He may have.
He has voiced Batman for the last several years.
He's no Bruce Greenwood. I'll tell you that.
That's my guy.
I'm wondering who that was. It's the president in National Treasure 2.
He's also in 8 Below.
That's a great movie. Paul Walker, R.I.P.
It's a great movie, dude. Real tearjerker.
Uh-huh.
I think the other cool thing about Alan Richardson, I think he's shown that he can kind of play a wide variety of roles. Obviously, he can be like the total goofball, and the funny kind of comedic guy, like, I don't know, the kind of athlete, like jock stud, which I feel like could kind of not directly correlate, but kind of similar to like playing the Playboy kind of thing, of Bruce Wayne. Plus, obviously, he's done plenty of serious roles at this point. And I don't know, I think he'd be able to do the Bruce Wayne stuff really well. And then at the same time, also turn on like the ass kicking switch of Batman. So
yeah,
I think that'd be really cool.
I don't know if you saw the Ring camera footage, but he just beat up his neighbor a couple weeks ago. So
what?
Yeah, there was a neighborhood scuffle. Him and his sons were riding dirt bikes in the neighborhood, and someone got mad, and then he just beat the crap out of his neighbor.
Wow! All right, so he's even a real life Batman. So
real life experience, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He's like vengeance.
Vengeance.
That was what we don't know is that was actually his audition tape.
Yep.
No,
Hey, real quick, Silver Slurpee, you may want to change what the Twitch stream is, BT Dubs. Still on Ghost of Yote.
It shouldn't be. That's weird. I love technology. But we did get another episode of Daredevil, which was awesome. I think that's really been picking up. I will say, episodes 3 and 4 were insane. And I thought episode 4 left off like just on a super high note. Episode 5 kind of slowed down a little bit for me. I wasn't quite as crazy about it, but
I
I don't know,
completely
what are you guys'
disagree.
thoughts on... You said you disagree?
Completely, yeah.
Oh,
I think
all right.
that episode 5 was the closest it's been to the Netflix series.
Oh,
That
okay.
yeah, 100%. And I watched I don't even know when the Netflix series came out, but I've been watching it since day one and have been such a huge fan. And it felt the closest to that we've got since Disney acquired the rights to Daredevil. With Foggy coming back too, post-death in season 1. All of those flashbacks were a lot of fun. We saw Wesley come back. I don't know if everyone remembers him dying in the Netflix series, but he's Kingpin's right-hand man. So that was pretty cool to end up seeing him in the flashback, and I'm really glad that they brought him back.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that last episode. I'm glad Vanessa died. I've been tired of her.
Me too.
Spoiler alert, sorry.
I thought she was gonna live, and I'm like, oh, come on, like,
because it looked like she was going to die in episode 4, and then she magically comes to life in season 5, right? And fighting for her life, or episode 5, sorry. Yeah.
No, I do think it was kind of an interesting take. Obviously, we got to see Kingpin kind of go through the ups and downs of like, oh, she's gonna make it, and like, something's kind of wrong. Oh shit, like she's dying again.
I thought he was going to be the surgeon when he's like, oh yeah, things went, pretty good, all things considered.
Yeah.
But there's still, some complications maybe. I really thought he was going to just throw him into the wall and kill him, but luckily that didn't end up happening. So we'll see the rampage that he ends up going on in the remaining episodes, because, it's going to be a rampage, and the anti-vigilante task force are just going to let loose.
Yeah,
I mean, we had to know Vanessa was going to die eventually, because that's always such a huge motivating thing for Kingpin in the comics. His love of Vanessa and his loss of her always ends up tying a lot into how evil he becomes. And they kind of took it a little different direction with this, but...
And she's made it 6 seasons. I mean, I think 6. So, I mean, that's pretty freaking good. Good for her for staying alive this long. So, good for her. Glad she died. I'm ready to see the aftermath. We'll see what ends up happening. So,
well, I think that's what we're all excited for. Obviously, we all want to see Kingpin go freaking nuts, and I think we're all excited to see this raging Kingpin.
Back to what Skinny Nerd was saying about the leaks earlier at the beginning of the video. Mm-hmm. Did you guys see what Mike Coulter posted on Instagram? He's the guy that plays Luke Cage.
Yes, actually.
Cool stuff.
Interesting.
I'm excited.
So, the guy who played Luke Cage posted a picture on the set of Daredevil. Supposedly it was on the set. I don't know how anyone would know that, but supposedly it's on the set of Daredevil, with Iron Fist and Jessica Jones. Obviously they're in plain clothes, but they're like in a car together, I think. And it was a picture of the 3 of them.
Yeah, and he posted another one that Kevin Feige's probably going to kill him for. Charlie Cox was in a prison uniform. He was in an orange jumpsuit. And we're wondering how that ended up happening. Or ended up, yeah, right? So
I feel like there's no way he did that without permission.
Maybe.
I don't know. Or that's just like Marvel career suicide. But I don't know.
Well, Tom Holland did it. Mark Ruffalo did it. They're the 2 people that decide to leak stuff. So maybe it's Mike Coulter. He hasn't been in the game for a while, and he's never been in the Marvel movie side of things, just TV shows. So the spoilers aren't that crazy.
For sure.
But we have the Defenders coming back in Daredevil season 2, which is a lot of fun, including Danny Rand, unfortunately. But maybe they'll make him cooler than he was in the Netflix show, and it'll be the opposite. of what
I
we're.
just want them to fix the choreography for him
Well,
more than anything. Just
I was
give
gonna
him
say,
give him a decent fight choreographer.
yeah, I think if like obviously now they're involved with the MCU, I think we'll get almost like a higher quality of probably everything. And I
In
think it'll
theory.
be exciting to see all of those characters actually in the MCU now. Like it'll be really cool. Obviously, we got like a super slight glimpse of Daredevil in She-Hulk. So I can't wait to see them interacting with the rest of the Marvel universe and some cooler parts of the Marvel universe.
Yeah, that was the weakest part of his interactions with anyone else in the Marvel universe, and the only reason that I watched She-Hulk. The streets are saying, leak wise, with him being in the jumpsuit, Charlie Cox Daredevil being in the jumpsuit, they are linking that to the hand fight that was put in the trailer. It was Peter Parker versus the Hand in a prison, right? So like,
Yep.
oh my god, he's breaking out Matt Murdock from prison, and it's going to end up being a street level fight along with Punisher, who we already know is going to be in the movie. So I just think that would and the Hand tie as well. I mean, he fought the Hand in the Netflix series the entire show. So I think that would be a good bridge from the Netflix shows and the Hand into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And then they're also saying that Luke Cage is going to end up taking over as mayor from Mayor Fisk. And apparently that was the storyline in the comics. I didn't end up reading that one, but it's pretty well known. So I would be very excited to end up seeing that. Also, one more thing. I know I'm on a rant here.
Bring it on.
Just in the mid-season trailer, Jessica Jones was featured and mentioned that she had a daughter, right? Who's the father of that daughter? Luke Cage. Oh my gosh, this is going to be a fantastic season. So I'm really excited.
No, I think it'll be awesome. There's so much exciting stuff coming. To touch back onto the Spider-Man note, I think it would be so cool to get Daredevil and Punisher involved in Spider-Man. Obviously, he's been involved in tons of his comics and stuff over the years. So let's get both of those characters involved in the Spider-Man world. I think it'd be super cool. Super fired up. I think it'll also be really neat and kind of help Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I've kind of disagreed with this, but obviously one of the big complaints from people is that like he's too involved with Iron Man, and like the Tom Holland Spider-Man just has too much going on with Iron Man. And I think bringing in Daredevil, the Hand, Punisher, and stuff will kind of help him get away from all that. Obviously, he's kind of starting from square one. He's lost everything after the last Spider-Man movie. So I am super excited for this Spider-Man movie. Tom Holland is my favorite Spider-Man of the
I agree.
live actions. For me, obviously everyone loves Toby. I don't dislike him, but I think he's a little overhyped. Tom Holland is my favorite Spider-Man. So I'm excited for all of this stuff because I think the few bad things that people kind of bring up with Tom Holland, I think this will hopefully kind of get rid of some of those.
And listen, we're all ready for the most important Spider-Man crossover. Spider-Man versus Deadpool.
Give it to me.
Yeah,
Especially if they do their
exciting.
first comic run. Especially if they do their first comic run, because then you also get Hitmonkey.
Yeah. No, I think they could. I think there's so much stuff to explore within, obviously, the Spider-Man world of things, and you can just bring in so many of these characters, and it's such a great way to bring in, your Daredevils and things like that from the Netflix side of things, like
Street
bring him
level
in through
character.
Spider-Man because he's involved with most of these characters.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, if we get Defenders again, I don't know if we'll end up getting them as a team like Defenders TV series or whatever again, but I would really prefer it to be a movie and not a series. I think if we do build up to the Defenders coming back as a full team, I think I would prefer a movie.
I feel like it'd have to be after Secret Wars. Yeah, I know a lot
Yeah.
of people know the Defenders, but to get the general population onto their side, they don't have many movies to do that. So it'll probably have to be after that. I was going to say, too, the director of the new Spider-Man movie is the director of Shang-Chi. If that tells you anything on how that movie is going to end up being, especially with the hand being thrown in there, the kung fu and whatever else, the martial arts. Sorry, Scanner, you know the verbiage better. But the director Shang-Chi, he was supposed to direct Kang Dynasty, and obviously that didn't end up happening. They ended up giving it to the Russo brothers. So I feel like this is kind of the consolation prize. Here, we'll give you the second most popular character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Good luck. Do your best.
Which I
Yeah, and I think
loved Shang-Chi. I thought it was
What
so
a
good.
surprise. It was
And
good. Yeah.
I want to see him back in the MCU. I know the actor, you probably know his name, but blanking on it. But the actor is like dying to get back into the world of the MCU, and I am all for it.
Yeah, I am too.
Yeah,
I'm really excited.
honestly, was so good for that movie. The fights for that movie were amazing.
Yeah. Story was good. Another thing in regards to that, and the only reason I remember this is because this character was kind of involved in that movie a little bit. I did watch Wonder Man this week,
Was it good?
and
That's right.
the like Mandarin actor from Iron Man 3, who was also in Shang-Chi,
Sir Ben
obviously plays a
Hayes.
huge role in the Wonder Man series. Which I will say, like I don't think the series wasn't bad. Just don't go into it expecting like a superhero TV show. Other than that, I will say like it's pretty cool. It's not bad. It's just totally different. Like don't go in expecting like fights, crazy action scenes, anything like that. Obviously, Wonder Man is a strong character, and we'll get to that eventually. But the way they did this series, I just wouldn't expect like your normal superhero TV show. But apparently it did pretty well, and Wonder Man is getting a second season.
I'd say the same thing about She-Hulk that we were talking about earlier. Don't go in to that expecting a good TV show. So don't watch that.
Yeah,
I've heard good things.
She-Hulk did not get a second season, so
they act like it doesn't exist. Like She-Hulk just didn't happen, which I am good with. And Wonder Man, Marvel just put out a number 1, which they put out 5,000 number ones in 2026. So that kind of dilutes the importance of everything. But they just put out a Wonder Man number 1 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I haven't read it, but I've heard it was pretty decent.
Yeah, I'm I don't know. I kind of have mixed thoughts on all the little Marvel miniseries runs. I don't know. Like I kind of like it for the sake of if I want to read a little snippet of a character, like it's kind of fun to jump in on like I don't know, Cable for 6 issues or whatever character they do. Or Wonder Man for like 6 issues. Um compared to like, would I read Wonder Man for like 3 straight years as an ongoing series? Like, probably not.
He's not, yeah.
So some of them, I will say, I think it makes sense um, for doing some of the smaller series, and I'm sure Marvel is doing it based off of probably trying to do, you know, more titles and not having that sustained interest. Because obviously, every number 1 of characters' books typically does well. And then it's just super hard to gauge for comic shops and things like that going forward. So I think the miniseries, you can get most people to buy in for 6 issues.
Well, yeah, it's a smart move. Dan Slott was talking about a couple weeks ago. He's like, we know you're going to buy number 1.
Yep.
But what really matters is if you're actually going to buy number 2, you know?
Exactly.
And I know you guys have said the same thing. Like, oh, it's issue 3, but I know I'm not enjoying it too much. But I know it's only going to be 6 issues, so I'm going to buy 4, 5, and 6. So that's a guaranteed $15 for that publisher. So it's not a bad business strategy. I don't. It seems a little disingenuous. But if it's a good 6-issue story, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I mean, and I think obviously if they continuously put out bad 6-issue stories, they'll run into issues. But
I'd argue, though, if you think about it, most comic runs, though, if you want to try and get pedantic with it, yes, they may maintain the same title, but a lot of comic storylines, there's a cohesive story that takes place over like maybe 10 to 12 issues, and then there'll be some continuity with it, but it'll then change to a new storyline. They'll resolve and wrap it up. So like thinking back to like Thor, right? Obviously, you have the God Butcher and God Bomb arc. And then that rolls directly into another Thor storyline that lasted, like the Conclave of the Worlds, I think was the next storyline for Thor. And that lasted, I want to say, like 6 to 10 issues before. And then that was wrapped up. And yes, we had some continuity from that, but then it kept going.
And then Mighty Thor and whatever else. Yeah, 100%.
Exactly.
And it's a business, obviously, too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if it's not selling, you got to cut it short, right? I think they've been doing that with Sorcerer Supreme with Wanda Maximoff. I got the first 6 or 7 issues. I don't know if it's gone that far, but I bought every book. And then recently they announced it's only going to go to 10 issues. But when they originally announced it, it was supposed to be an ongoing, and clearly it hasn't done well. So they're just going to cut it off at 10 and have a finality to the story and just call it a day. So I get that too.
Which, like, that, I've really enjoyed that run so far. It's been cool.
Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah.
Pretty trippy with all the magic stuff going on.
Yeah.
Skinny Nerd, you would probably really enjoy that title. But
yeah, I'm planning on checking it out.
I think, yeah, I just think it works out really well, and I think a lot of, not like dissing on comic fans, but I think a lot of comic fans get kind of, I don't know, this false idea that, I don't know, some of the smaller characters can maintain like a successful ongoing title, and it's just not realistic. And I think a lot of people will ask for, they're like, oh, like, why doesn't this character get their own title? Why doesn't this character get their own title? And that's part of the reason of team books, so that we can get some of these characters into like X-Men, Avengers, Justice League Unlimited, which phenomenal. I've been loving that run. So I think obviously that's a great place for some of the smaller characters, and then doing it in these miniseries runs, it's probably still a profitable way for Marvel and DC to do it. And then at the same time, you're giving the fans what they want. Like, hey, cool, Firestorm is getting his own title, or this character's getting their own title. And obviously I realize some of these are slated to be ongoings as of right now, but we'll see how they do.
And giving the artists and the writers that opportunity too, you know, like, oh, sick, I get to write this character I never thought I was going to write. I know it's only 6 issues, but at least I get to bring this character to life. So I think that's a good opportunity for them. And then on the Firestorm talk, I don't know if you read it yet, but I've really enjoyed it. I know nothing about Firestorm. It's like, all right, I'm going to get it. We'll see how it goes. It's part of the Next Level series that DC's doing. I really liked it. It was a good book, and the art was really good too. So
yeah, I have not checked it out yet. I think let's see, I've read Lobo. I know I have the first issue of Batwoman. I don't know if I'm gonna continually get that. I just got a cool cover for it.
Which cover was it?
I've got the first issue of Firestorm. And then what's the other one that's come out? Sorry, what's that?
Deathstroke.
Oh, and then I did get the first issue of Deathstroke, but I haven't read that either yet.
The cover A of Deathstroke #2 sucks, but I ended up getting the Tyler Kirkham cover, and it's
super cool.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw it. It's sick. And he is also doing a Lobo #2 cover. So the pair of those two together is
Yes.
really cool.
I did see the Lobo. I think he posted it on his Instagram, and it is awesome.
He can do no wrong. I mean, I love his art so much.
I really do like his art, and I think it's been cool getting to see him do some interior art, obviously with his own book, and plus he's been
Yeah,
writing a bunch of it.
he's writing it too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really cool. He's having a bunch of success right now, and it's been awesome to see. He's a super cool dude. Met him several times at conventions,
Cool.
and so that's super exciting.
Fine. Can I bring something up to Skinny Nerd real quick?
Absolutely.
Yeah, what's up?
I don't know if you saw it. I actually saw it a couple hours ago when I was scrolling Instagram. Something is killing the children. Your
Yes.
moment right now. Did you see the one-shot crossover that they're gonna do?
I had not seen that. I'm not on Instagram, so some of that stuff misses me. Who are we crossing over with?
Swamp Thing and DC.
That is perfect.
Yeah, I think that'll be really cool. So I just wanted to throw that out here.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and Silver Slurpee loves Swamp Thing. He wants to bring the series back.
Okay,
Speaking
of those series, that
crossover
was the
stuff,
best one.
I was looking at. I read through. I think we were going to talk about it. I read through all of KO, and one of the things I did read through was Final Fight, or not Final Fight, Final Boss, which had some really fun crossovers. It had a crossover with a horror comic that I did actually really enjoy, Under the Trees Where Nobody Sees. If you ever read the Final Boss crossover comic they did, the weird bear that fights Lex Luthor.
Or Boss Fight.
Right?
Boss Fight?
Boss Fight, yes, I'm sorry. I keep calling it the wrong one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know who that bear is. What's the deal?
It's from a horror comic called Beneath the Trees Where No One Sees, and she's a serial killer bear. That's literally what she is.
All right.
It's a really kind of it's basically a slasher film as a comic book, but it's being told from the perspective of the serial killer.
Okay, I was gonna say that seemed like the most far off thing in that entire book. I had no idea what was going on. I had no idea where that bear came from. But when she ends up having a person like strung up upside down, hanging from a tree with a machete, I was like, okay, this bear is dangerous. But it ends up happening.
That comic was pretty wild. Definitely a lot of fun. And I think the way they went about it, from everything I've heard, was pretty hilarious. It sounded like Scott Snyder was just like, what if we just like took a bunch of these different characters from different universes and like tossed them into the KO event? And he was like, I was telling this to Jim Lee, and he's like, there's no way he's going to be for it. And Jim Lee, I guess, was like, give me a minute. Like, made a bunch of calls, like the bigwig that he is now, and called him back and was like, yep, do it. You have like this list of characters that you can use, and pretty crazy.
He's too big.
So we got Sabrina, the Teenage Witch. We got Annabelle from the horror movies. We got Mortal Kombat.
Red Sonja,
Vampirella. Like I said, we had the weird indie horror comic Beneath the Trees Where No One Sees. It was a fun grab bag of characters that they grabbed.
And those folks are probably super happy, whoever has the ownership rights of those characters. They're like, oh my gosh, DC's biggest book of the entire year. Yeah, throw us in there. Hundreds of thousands of people are going to buy it, and we're going to pay DC and Jim Lee and all the folks over there to do it. And Jim Lee's probably too busy making calls to end up finishing Hush too, but whatever. He's too busy being a businessman to finish the book that was supposed to be done by September of 2025, but whatever. It's fine. We'll push it to September of 2026.
It'll get done one day. Just like Game of Thrones will be finished.
I am over it. Yeah.
So while we're kind of on the subject, do we want to talk about KO a little bit?
Yeah,
overall,
we've talked about it briefly here and there, but I do think, obviously, big event, kind of a lot going on, that kind of all ended up I don't know, a lot of it ended up not really being overly important, kind of in the end.
Yeah, if I'm
I don't
so
know.
I quite literally read through the whole thing today, because there's a reason why nerd is part of my name. I read go through this stuff very very fast, and all I can say is, in all honesty, I was kind of disappointed. I was not particularly impressed by the event overall. For
What did
something
you
that is
want?
hyped up, for KO overall, is just for something that was hyped up as so huge and such a big deal. It feels like it didn't really do anything.
I kind of felt the same way. I feel like we got the only thing that we really got that kind of left us in a different place, was obviously Superman's kind of on hiatus
Gone.
right now. But other than that, and some Omega energy is apparently in the universe now. I guess we'll find out what that means in the long run. But Darkseid is still a threat. Um,
Yeah.
and like right at the end of the book, they're like, "Yeah, he's still out there. He's still coming." So I'm sure in a year or two we'll get another like world-ending, universe-ending Darkseid event.
And they teased
Which
that too in the last page, didn't they? Say like an absolute crisis or something right at the end,
Yeah,
or the
Darkseid makes reference to like a crisis, and it's phrased as something like an absolute crisis or something, which is obviously DC has had how many different, like, Infinite Crisis,
Final
Final Crisis. They
Crisis.
they
really
just
love.
Dark Crisis a couple years ago, and they switched that to Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths in issue 3 of that. So yeah, it seems a little redundant, but I'm sure that's what they're teasing coming years.
100%.
Their annual
This
event.
just feels like another death of Superman.
Yeah.
They're writing Superman out so they can bring him back for his big damn heroes moment again. Which,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't necessarily hate that, but trying to sell this as this massive thing.
I think one of the biggest, well, a couple of my biggest dislikes for um the story in the comic as a whole. A lot of the fights felt pretty silly, and it felt like they just gave like when they would do like the best of 3 fights, it felt like they gave everyone like one win as like all right, Harley Quinn, here, we'll give you one win against Zatanna. And I felt like some of the characters honestly had like no business even being in the fight at all. I forget how many hero or characters there were at the very beginning of the bracket, but I'm like, you really, like, we're taking our strongest like 30-ish roughly, and like the fact that Harley Quinn is even in that argument to be entered into the tournament just felt dumb. And I feel like from the start, like when you put some of these characters in there for this like fight to go fight Darkseid, I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, well, this is just silly, and it kind of gave the I don't know, it just it didn't feel overly serious from the get go, which I get. They were kind of going for just like a fun, oh, like who would win kind of thing, but then at the same time, a lot of the fights um felt unfinished, and it was kind of like, oh, like Swamp Thing is like, oh, I'm gonna let Cyborg win in round 3, and kind of thing. So I don't know. I just felt like a lot of fights were unfinished. Some characters had no business even being there, so it kind of made for some lackluster, lame, boring fights. Um, and
Upside,
then
we
go
got the
ahead.
return of Emperor Joker, however briefly, which was kind of cool to see again.
That was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Um,
But I'll be
Batman.
honest, that's a character that I feel like should not have made it past. I don't know. I feel like Joker as a character should not have made it very far. He always relies. He's not much of a. He's not a terrible fighter, but he's not anything particularly impressive in a fight.
But
I feel like he should have been knocked out real fast. I'm talking about baseline Joker. I'm not talking Emperor Joker. I'm talking
that
baseline
was
Joker.
his thing though that I feel like they wrote in is that we all know he shouldn't be there, but somehow he sneaks around and does this that somehow ends up getting him the win. Like the supplemental DCKO, whatever they call it, where they do 1v1s. I think the only one I ended up getting was the Jason Todd versus Joker one. And, they're just beating the crap out of each other, and Jason Todd ends up winning and killing Joker, right? Jason Todd ends up dying because they beat the crap out of each other, but Joker was still alive by just that much. So his heart was still beating, and he still, ended up winning the fight because of that extra couple seconds that he was alive ahead of Jason Todd. So, those extra couple seconds, that's how he ends up being so lucky.
That feels like a cop-out cope of the century, being real here, because you want your cake of saying Jason Todd won, but still having Joker continue on. That's what that is.
That's exactly what it is. 100%. I thought the same.
Either nut up and go, yeah, Joker won this.
Yeah.
Or find a different character to throw at him.
Yeah, and they're billing it like the rematch of the century, right? The rematch that we've been looking for so long, forever, and yeah, he ends up winning, but not really. So.
Yeah, and then you had like the Batman stuff, and it just felt like with Batman they were like, well, we don't want it to be a Batman story, but at the same time we're going to put Batman into it, and he's going to have like really no real effect on the story other than to like make profit, essentially.
Other than to die in the first issue, which you were talking about it being serious or unserious. Number one was, and then issues 2, whatever, it kind of fizzled out, like you said. Because with him dying at the beginning, I mean, those are huge stakes. You're like, holy crap, Batman's going to die. What else is going to end up happening? And then he ends up doing the night fight.
Yeah.
Captain Marvel gets smashed right out the gate, literally as like the opening bell is Captain Marvel getting crushed, which felt like very quick. Oh God, this is huge stakes. And then with it, like we said, by issue 2, it was like, okay, cool. I guess all the stakes are gone now. This is all just goofiness, silliness.
Yeah,
he would have made that book fun. I wish he was for a little bit longer.
And then
that would have been.
And then you have Batman like go on all the he has the night fight stuff, and then when he returns, he's in it for like what 2 pages before he's then out of the tournament again, and I'm like, this is just dumb. I'm like, you're just keeping Batman in it to say that Batman's in the book, to like keep your Batman fans happy, and I'm like, it's okay. He just take him. I think it would have had a way more of an effect if you had actually. Not actually killed him or whatever. He could have like, fought his way back or whatever, done something else. But I don't know. Just if he got taken out at the start of the tournament, cool. Bring him back. Which I don't even think any of the characters take knocked out or like defeated in the tournament. Did anyone really die?
What happened to Booster Gold? Did he die or not? With him being
at the end he's back again. Nobody actually the tournament didn't actually kill anyone.
What a surprise.
Yeah, which is also like it just made the whole Batman thing feel extra silly. So he's like, oh, I'm super smart, I'm gonna like avoid this, and it's like, well, dude, nobody died. So
Night Fight's basically just him facing his ghost of Christmas past, with each Robin and every single issue, and then he finally gets past it, learns the meaning of Christmas, and gets back into the cave.
I'm not a bad dad.
I'm not a bad dad. I love you all. Oh my God, my grandson's name is Alfred.
I'm a good bat dad.
You know what this actually reminds me of thinking about it? You know what this was? This was freaking Cell games from Dragon Ball. This literally was the Cell tournament in Dragon Ball, because it literally ends with like Goku getting one of the last things is Goku like sacrificing himself to get rid of Cell and then deciding, yeah, I'm just not going to come back, which makes me think of Superman kicking the snot out of Darkseid and then just going, yeah, I got other stuff to do, I'm not coming back.
Yeah,
well,
and I think touching on Superman, I think that was one of the cool things of the book. Um, Obviously, I'm stoked that I don't know. I think it's cool that Superman was the one to go fight Darkseid. Like Darkseid is a Superman villain. Obviously, he's kind of become a Justice League villain at this point, but for the longest time, he's been a Superman villain. And if anyone's going to go fight him, I think it should be Supes.
Here's what I'll actually say about KO. KO is a terrible crossover, like, big event. It's a solid Superman story. It is a good Superman story. And if it was sold as that, if it was shown as that, I don't think I would actually be I don't think I'd be as disappointed with this comic. But I'm really disappointed that a comic that was supposed to be this massive crossover big deal event was effectively a Superman storyline.
I
He was
think it
the
was
only
that way, actually. I think everyone that read it from start to finish knew that it was a Superman story, the way that they positioned everything.
But I think one of the cool things that came from it, and I said this in a video kind of right when DCKO wraps up, and I think it's cool that Superman is kind of going on hiatus. I don't need most of the Summer of Superman books are starting to wrap up. They went on a little bit longer than they were originally supposed to do because they were successful. But I think it's kind of good. We can slim down from like the Batman amount of books that Superman has had for the last 8 months or so. Shrink that down to like just one Superman title, probably be two because you'll have Superman and Action Comics. But I think it's cool. He's kind of on hiatus. Give some other characters some time to breathe, and then hopefully we can get some of these like next level books, some readers and things like that. So not everyone is just picking up 6 Superman titles. And I think it could be cool if Superman kind of took on more of like a galaxy, like universe wide hero role. And like make him that big ultimate hero, make him the most powerful like hero in the DC universe. And yeah, I think it would be kind of nice. And let's I don't know, get some other characters in the Justice League, kind of getting a little bit more spotlight. The only thing that is kind of difficult, because Superman has obviously his family, Lois, that kind of ties him to Earth. So that makes things a little bit difficult of putting him in that kind of more galaxy role, where he's not just, on Earth, fighting in Metropolis. But I think it could be cool where they take Superman.
And I don't know if you guys read Green Lantern 600, but with Hal Jordan kind of stepping aside and Kyle Rayner taking over, I think that would be cool for him to be a mentor, Superman to be a mentor to Kyle Rayner. I think that'd be a lot of fun, as well as the other cosmic superheroes.
Yeah, and I think like Tom Taylor's run on Nightwing really kind of went in this direction. It feels like DC is like starting to push the edge of wanting to let some of the younger heroes and things like that kind of move up to that Justice League level, that Justice League tier. But at the same time, obviously they're still holding on to their Superman and their Batman. Those are their big money makers. So I'm sure it's not the easiest decision to, maybe start making Batman a little bit older. Maybe start getting Nightwing more involved as like a main time, Justice Leaguer and that sort of thing. But I think it would be cool to see, and I think the DC universe is ready for kind of, to move forward in the timeline a little bit. I think the Alfred death has been great, and there's a bunch of Batman fans that are pissed about it still, and they're like, we want Alfred back, and I'm like, he's been around for freaking 80 plus years now. I think we can move on from Alfred, and I think it'll do Batman a lot of good to finally kind of move forward. Like he's raised 4 kids at this point, and like, can we move forward in this timeline a little bit? I think it would be good for the DC universe.
Are you talking about the Matt Fraction run with them killing Alfred, or somewhere else?
He's been dead since like 2021. Tom King
Oh,
killed Alfred.
okay.
Yeah. Tom King.
Another reason I hate the guy, according to the internet.
Well, it was kind of funny the way it worked out. I guess like Tom King killed Alfred, and it was supposed to be one of those stories like, oh, he's dead, but he wasn't actually dead.
Yeah.
And he's like, and then the DC Universe was like rolled with it. DC was like, yeah, we're keeping Alfred dead, and he was like, oh shit, I did not mean to actually kill Alfred. So pretty funny the way that worked out from what I've heard with some interviews with him and stuff, which is pretty funny to
Is
accidentally
this going
kill
to
off a
become
major Batman character.
Is this going to end up becoming the second death in comics that sticks? We had Uncle Ben for Spider-Man. Are we going to have Alfred for Batman now?
No.
I hope so. I think it'll be good. I hope they keep him dead. Like I said, he's been dead for I think almost 5 years now, maybe 4. And yeah, I think it'll be exciting. In Nightwing's story, Alfred's death played a huge role, especially during Tom Taylor's run on that, which was phenomenal. Probably my favorite Nightwing run. Awesome. But Alfred essentially gives. Alfred was extremely wealthy, and he gives pretty much all of his wealth to Nightwing, which is really cool and kind of fun to see how that plays out. And yeah, I don't know. Nightwing has certainly become a much bigger character. I don't want him to become Batman, which I see a lot of people talk about that. Like, oh, like who should take Batman's place if he dies, or like when he retires finally. I was like, I don't want to see like any of the
We
Robins
already
just
know who it is.
become Batman.
It's going to be Terry McGinnis. We already know it.
Oh, well,
Already set in stone.
See, that's one of the other things is that I think would be so cool about like moving forward in the timeline. Can we like see like give me a panel of like Terry McGinnis being born, something. Like I think it would be so cool to finally, I don't know, like let's start moving, start moving this thing forward and kind of
Just
filling in some of these gaps.
Some random panel, and they're like, "Let's name him Terry." You know,
it's like Simba. They're just holding him up. It's
yeah.
like
And then everyone holds onto it for 5 years until they finally end up making that come to fruition.
Sick guitar riff starts playing in the background.
Yeah.
Dude, the opening song for the Batman Beyond TV show went so much harder than it ever needed to.
Honestly, so much of the music for like Justice League Unlimited, Batman Beyond, Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, the music for all of those was just incredible.
Spider-Man the Animated Series was really good too.
Yeah.
I love that song. Yeah,
X-Men
they were
yeah. X-Men.
Yep, of course, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and then 97 obviously still used it, so that was cool.
Iconic.
But all of the music in that like 90s kind of early 2000s for all of those animated series were so good. So well done.
And that's what's going on in comics. What's going on in video games?
I'm gonna be honest. There hasn't been too much big news. I feel like in the last week or two. Pokemon's still going strong as all get out. We had Wind and Waves announced earlier this year, and I'm gonna be honest. So I really fell off with Pokemon since ever since they made the switch to the Nintendo Switch. Because Game Freak, I'm gonna be honest, I will rip that company apart any day. Game Freak is a terrible developer for how good of a game base they have. But they seem like they've actually finally understood how to make a 3D Pokemon game.
Cool.
So that's actually got me excited for the first time in a long time for Pokemon.
That does look really freaking good. And then Pokemon's just been on a tear lately. Obviously, like cards wise, they've been insane for the last couple of years, but they've had so many games that have been releasing in the last like 2 months. It's been freaking crazy, from everything from Pokopia to like the new Pokemon like tournament game. That's been
Yep.
that's been wild. There's so much stuff going on in the Pokemon world, and I get it. It's like their 30th anniversary, but it's almost like Pokemon overload at this point. It's insane.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, other
which
than that, there hasn't been too many big blow-ups lately. Crimson Desert released not too long ago, and they've had a bunch of updates because turns out there may have been a few quality of life issues and some other some other small problems that some people had with that game that have been resolved. But yeah, it's been I feel like a relatively quiet couple of weeks or so on the video game front, to be honest.
yeah, for sure. I think one of the very exciting things, obviously, that everyone's looking forward to is the Wolverine game coming.
Absolutely.
I believe that's at the end of the year. Um, Super stoked for that. Can't wait to see what happens with that. And I think it'd be really cool if they tied it in to like the Spider-Man video game world. I don't need like Spider-Man in it, but I think it'd be cool if they made a mention of it or something like that. I
Yeah.
don't know. I think it'd be really exciting to actually tie like let's start a Marvel video game kind of universe, you know?
Who would be the bridge to that? Like Silver Sable or
I don't know. I mean, you could do. I mean, who knows? Um, even if a character just like were to mention something going on in New York with a spider or whatever, I think people would lose their minds.
and
Just having some amount of connection. But I
Yeah.
think if the Wolverine game has great success with all the success of the Spider-Man games, I think people are going to be looking for more characters to start coming into that Marvel video game world.
in that
Yeah.
same vein, the Spider-Man face actor, whatever you want to call him, posted on his social media of him in a mocap suit. So everyone's suggesting that they're finally starting with Spider-Man 3, which is long overdue. I can't
Maybe.
wait for that to end up coming out. Yeah, so he ended up posting that. So that was like 3 or 4 days ago.
That could be. I mean, keep in mind, a lot of those voice actors play a lot of roles for a lot of different video game companies. So
Not
unless it's like
not
direct
him.
mention,
He's different though. It's not. Yeah, it's not like it's Nolan North or anybody else. He's a little bit more niche. So hopefully, and
you'd
obviously
still
the
be
hopes.
surprised.
Yeah.
For everybody's reference, anybody who played Baldur's Gate 3, the game I was talking about the other week, Warframe, has like half the cast of Baldur's Gate 3 also voicing different characters in that. There is the voice acting community, it's simultaneously really big and really small. It's kind of trippy.
Tight community.
Yeah.
I yeah, I think Spider-Man 3 is coming though. I think they've already confirmed that it will be coming
Oh,
at
of
some
course.
point. Um, that'll be exciting. If there was a Marvel character that that they could bring to the video game world, what Marvel character would you want?
As
It's
their own game.
Yeah, like their own solo game.
Okay.
Obviously from Insomniac. Like let's say this all is happening in one universe. Like let's say the Wolverine game makes some mention of Spider-Man or something like that. Who is a Marvel character that you would love to see in the video game world?
So this is an interesting one. For me, to me, there was a game I loved years ago. It was a martial arts based game called Absolver, and the entire one of the big conceits of the game is that essentially, as you fought enemy characters, you learned their moves by like blocking and dodging and avoiding the techniques they used against you, and you used that to build your own combos. You essentially had this whole list of martial arts moves you could do, and you could essentially in a menu put together your combo strings like a fighting game, but you got to build them yourself from these moves you learned. So in that vein, I would love to see a Taskmaster game.
Yeah. Cool.
I think you could do some sick stuff with a Taskmaster game if you could use a system like that, where you essentially, as you fought characters and enemies and things like that, you learned techniques from them. I don't know exactly how the system would work. It's something that's been done in video games a lot, but I feel like there's some really unique, interesting stuff you could do with that sort of idea.
And he's in the Insomniac games too, so
Yeah.
in the first 2 Spider-Man games, that'd be fun.
It'd be fun to play a villain protagonist there too.
Yeah, or somewhere in the middle. And I know it's basic and a little bit of a recency bias, but I think Punisher would be a lot of fun. The first game that they did in 2006 was super, super fun. The old Rated M Punisher game. And I just wish they'd do something like that. I think it'd be really cool, especially throwing in the street level villains or street level characters. You know, throw Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, all the Defenders, Midnight Suns, whoever it ends up being. I think that'd be really, really cool.
Deadpool had a hilarious game. It wasn't a particular. I'm gonna be real here. It wasn't like an amazing game by any shot.
I thought
it was a hilarious
No, but
game.
like if you gave like Insomniac the budget and stuff that they got with the Wolverine game and Spider-Man and things like that to put forth like a Deadpool game of that kind of quality would just be insane. I think they could do a lot with that.
That was a really good voiced by Nolan North. I really enjoyed that game. I totally forgot.
They have a new VA for Deadpool for Marvel Rivals because Nolan North was already playing Rocket Raccoon. So they got a new guy to play Deadpool. He goes by Sayu online.
Okay.
And he did a really bang up job as Deadpool.
Okay.
Like, holy crap. Cool. So they have options now for who they want to cast as Deadpool.
Yeah, and he's getting older too. I don't know if you guys saw it. They postponed GTA 6 to 2031. Did you see that?
Actually,
I didn't, but I'm gonna be honest. I'm sorry.
That's hilarious,
dude. That game is not gonna come out ever at this point. Well, one of my favorite things I ever saw is a dude was like, "Yeah, I timed up when I got my girlfriend pregnant so that I would have parental leave when GTA 6 released, and Rockstar screwed me over."
That's what we've been talking about, my wife and I, and it didn't end up working out. So we'll see how it ends up swinging. But that would just be the coolest thing ever to get that leave. But we'll see what ends up happening. I was talking to someone the other day about the pricing structure too, because they haven't released the pricing structure. They've released one little teaser trailer, and they're talking about it being $100 plus. Are you going to buy it if it's $100 or more? Like, what's the minimum that you would buy that game for?
Well, I'm gonna be real. Like the 12th year when it's out.
Yeah,
and then like
I've never paid more than $20 for a GTA game.
I'll get it for like $10.
GTA 5, they're still selling for $40, and that came out forever ago. I mean, it's a 8-year-old game.
I think it's even older.
Rockstar games are very impressive from a technical level. I've never really loved how they play.
Yeah, you said that. I don't disagree. I'm tired of tapping X to run.
Yeah, that mechanic should have died years ago.
Yeah, what are we doing, Grandpa? The future is now. All right, I'm tired of doing it. I'm messing up my controller. It's a scam from Big Controller to get me to buy more. I keep clicking X and messing it up.
Like, there's so many crazy systems they built into Red Dead Redemption 2 as an example, but I'm gonna be real here. What I really want out of Red Dead Redemption 2 is just like almost like a free roam cowboy simulator more than anything else, and it functions as a decent version of that. But it's just from like an actual here's how the game controls and here's how the game plays. It's not as good as I feel like it could be or should be. There's not as much depth to a lot of things I'd want more depth on. Same with anything that played GTA.
What developer would you want to have made it? Like, say it's the same storyline, same everything, but the play style is the way that this developer does it. Like, what? The new or like it's got to be third person, obviously.
It's got to be third person. Honestly, I wouldn't mind handing it over to Sucker Punch. that did the Ghost of Yote and Ghost of Tsushima.
Good call.
I would love to see them do something like that. The other one, funnily enough, that I'd actually love is whatever developer team was responsible for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
From a just having fun, but also having that kind of in-depth world simulation stuff going on. Those games are incredible.
Yeah, that would be cool. I don't know if you guys saw it, but there's been a ton of rumors on Twitter, X, that Uncharted 5 is going to end up being made. Same with Last of Us 3 after what's it called? Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet is what their next game's going to be. And if they do an Uncharted 5, I'll lose my mind. That's my favorite series of all time. And Last of Us is probably my second favorite series of all time. And it makes money, right? The same thing we're talking about DC. They're doing all this stuff because they know it's going to make money. Superman's in 15 titles. Same with Batman because they know it's going to make money. So doing these long-winded sequels makes sense. And at a State of Play, probably a year ago, they had this one little snippet in a sizzle reel that they showed, and it was of a girl with like a torch in a cave, and everyone said that it was Nathan Drake's daughter, who they showed at the end of Uncharted 4, and eventually it'll be like her, mantle to claim in the Uncharted, legacy. So I think that would be really, really cool if they ended up doing that. I love that series so much.
Unfortunately, the last time that my favorite development group announced anything, so my favorite game of all time is Shadow of the Colossus. And all we have right now is a working title that got announced 2 years ago, which is Project Robot, out of the director from that game. But
Shadow of the Colossus. All right, Grandpa.
Hey. That game came out in 2005. It's not that
I was going
old.
to say 2005. Yep. They
also put out a game in 2016, The Last Guardian, that was also beautiful.
Yeah, a lot of people love that.
Yeah, I'm legitimately, it's the only game. I've literally bought Shadow of the Colossus 3 separate times. Because I had it on PS2. I bought it again when they did the HD upscaling for PS3, and then when they did a full remaster remake of it for the PS4, and I bought it a third time then.
That's how I feel.
I've never been disappointed with it.
That's the same thing I did with Last of Us. I bought it the day it came out for the PS3, and then I bought it for the PS4 when they had their PS4 version, and then I bought the PS4 to PS5 upgrade for like $10, and then I bought the true remake that they did. So I think I bought that game 4 times, which, screw them for doing that kind of stuff. And they know we're gonna buy it. We're gonna eat the slop. We know what we're scumbags.
I will say there is the Shadow of the Colossus one. I feel like is a little different because of how old the original was. Like if you look at the
I can't
difference
believe that game
between,
came out on the PlayStation 2.
I was going to say PlayStation 2.
It looked so good for its time on the PS2, and honestly, I still feel like the PS2 graphics still hold up just because of how good the game's art direction was. And it still looked pretty good just being like upscaled to PS3. But for the PS4, like I said, they did they rebuilt the engine from the ground up for the PS4. And there was some bugginess with it that took some time to get fixed. But on PS4 it looked unreal.
What was the game you guys played that you're like, holy crap, I don't think graphics can get any better than what I'm witnessing and playing right now?
Shadow of the Colossus for the PS4.
Okay, all right. Do you have one, Silver Slurpee?
I think I've had a couple of those moments with different games.
Yeah.
I feel like I had it with the Last of Us games. I think both of them I probably did. I feel like when the PS3 first came I feel like when the PS3 first came out, I feel like I had that opinion of most games. Like in the first year the PS3 was out, I'm like, oh my god, this is the greatest thing ever, and nothing will ever beat it.
The 2 to 3 jump was huge, and the 3 to 4 jump was decent, but the 4 to 5 jump was almost you couldn't really tell, right? It was obviously better, but it wasn't the same jump and the same level that the 2 to 3 was, and the 3 to 4.
It's the little things. It's some of the little things that the game can do now that it didn't used to be able to. Because so slightly more serious answer. I'm going to be honest. The Shadow of the Colossus one was a little. I was not 100% sincere with that. The more serious answer, honestly, would probably be Ghost of Yote.
Okay.
True.
Not just from a pure. I mean, the visual fidelity of that game is obviously incredible, but there are so many little details, like the fact that when your character swings their sword, like the grass in that game is amazingly dense in a way few other games can pull off. And they actually make it so that when you swing your sword through that grass, it actually cuts through the individual foliage as you swing it. And so you can actually carve out divots of the grass with your blade. And that's something that you couldn't make both those things happen years ago. It used to be you could either make the grass that dense or you could have it be interactive. You couldn't really do both.
Do both, yeah. To answer my question, I had Halo Combat Evolved, Halo 1, right? As my graphics game, but then I switched after you guys talked about it. And I know this is silly and it's a studio that they're not known for quality graphics. But me as a kid playing Call of Duty 2 on the Xbox 360, playing that demo in Best Buy, I was just mesmerized. I was like, I don't think the graphics on Omaha Beach and Call of Duty 2 can get any better than 2006 right now.
I freaking miss like demos in stores.
Yeah.
So fun. You're breaking your neck looking up.
Yeah.
At the screen.
And they're connected to the walls, and we can look at the downfall of society, and it should start with that or Harambe, you know? I mean
yeah. No, it was that was so fun back in the day of being able to play whatever game or like Guitar Hero or whatever it was that they had set up in the stores, whether it be GameStop, Walmart, Target, you name it. Like it was so much fun going in and being able to play the games.
I think something on the topic of graphics, NVIDIA tried to pull the whole thing with like their AI assisted, I think it was SSR5 or something like that, or SSLS5 or something like that, where they tried to like use AI to improve the graphical fidelity of games like in real time. And I think what that really proved is that, I mean, it proved a lot of things. As we all know, AI is not great at actually maintaining art direction. But what I think it really showed was that these games actually, the graphics for them are actually way less important than that art direction. Because yes, from a purely logistical standpoint, it improved technically the graphical fidelity, but it destroyed any sort of art direction, which made the games actually look worse, despite improved fidelity. So I think the chase for the more perfect fidelity, I'm not going to say it's reached its end point, but I think we've kind of reached the point where we're going to get diminishing returns on that. And because I think one of the games I played recently that impressed me most visually was a game, is a relatively inexpensive game from an indie developer called Sword of the Sea. They have some really good, just like atmospheric travel games, kind of is the best way to put it. And you're playing as a little robot guy surfing on the sword that you're surfing through sand and you end up kind of generating water behind you. And in terms of graphical fidelity, it's not crazy impressive, but it has such good art direction and art design for the characters, for the world, for the way the water looks, that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, I think I'm sure there will be games to come in the future too, where we'll still be like, wow, I don't think it could ever get better than this.
Of course.
But it's always fun when you have those those moments with games. And then, of course, everyone always has those games too that just will always stand out to them as being so awesome. Like
Yep.
for me, like I've always loved Assassin's Creed 3. I don't know. I just freaking love it.
And
I love the
that's
story.
one.
Connor
Yeah.
just getting royally screwed. That whole story is like I just loved that game through and through. I did buy
Only does
that
not get a good time in that one.
when it was remade. So I don't know. I think a lot of people just have obviously those cool childhood memories of games.
The
Even if
rumors that they're remaking Black Flag, and that's a pretty good rumor. It sounds like it actually has legs, so we'll see what ends up happening in the next couple of months. Because I would
we'll see.
crap out of that.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know how much I trust Ubisoft at this point anymore. They had what was it? Skull and Bones, I think is what it was called. I ended up trying it after I got a free copy of it through PlayStation Plus. But it's like all you guys had to do was just make Assassin's Creed Black Flag as an MMO, and you would have had a gold mine. And instead, the game just bombed because they didn't do that.
And decided not to use it. Yeah.
And then they tried to also claim there's the first quadruple A game. When I'm gonna be real here, that game barely plays like a triple A.
That's interesting that I didn't even think that a quadruple A game could be a thing, right?
But well, it's kind of a made up term, frankly, at this point, because that's the only developer who's ever claimed it.
Yeah,
but that game right?
Our game is going to be the greatest game ever, so we're making its own new tier, and it's like, well, you can't decide that for your own game.
Exactly.
I think if the fans, like, if Wolverine comes out and fans are like, oh my god, there's never been a game like it. It's the greatest game ever created. You know, that would be different if the fans call for that. Skinny nerd, you turned yourself sideways.
Oh, I apologize. Sorry.
With Skinny Nerd sideways and him talking about AI and whatever else, because I wanted to get a book that I just ended up reading. Green Lantern 600, Legacy 600. Kyle Rayner is an artist. I don't know if that's part of his thing. I don't read a lot of Kyle Rayner. But in this book, he's in LA. He's got a girlfriend. He's an artiste, and that's his thing, right? He's a struggling artist in LA. What a surprise, right? But there's this studio executive that fires every single artist and ends up figuring out that AI can just do it all without them. And he ends up becoming an AI supervillain. And I thought it was just such a meta, like, commentary on what's actually going on. And it's also written and illustrated by people that this is affecting, right? You know, these comic writers, Jeremy Adams and whoever else has ended up being in this book, they're like, my jobs are being taken away from my AI. My art is being taken away from AI. And the villain literally has like a data center on his back as he's creating all chaos fighting Kyle Rayner, and then Flash ends up coming into it too. But it was just such a meta critique of what's going on. That was really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I've always loved. I haven't been reading the current Green Lantern run, but I think the last Green Lantern run that I was actively reading was Rebirth. Shocker, because I read pretty much all of Rebirth. But the it was Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps. There was a couple other Green Lantern titles during Rebirth as well, but that run was so well done. Freaking loved it. It involved so many members of the Green Lantern Corps, and I just thought it was so cool. And I don't know. I feel like a lot of the Green Lantern comics do that, and they just bring in so many cool characters for that universe, just because they do have so many cool characters in that Green Lantern universe. And I don't know. Hopefully the show does the same. But
yeah, doubt it.
Speaking of comics, Skinny Nerd read Absolute Superman, which I am absolutely stoked about. And
all of them?
I'm curious to get your thoughts. I did kind of know.
I did that immediately after wrapping up KO today.
Did he give you the singles, or did you get the trades, or what happened?
No, I just jumped on. So once again, kind of like I said earlier, I read too fast a lot of the time to really want to justify buying too many comics.
Sure.
So I just got on DC Universe and just blew through them real quick.
Cool.
For
How
the
does
record, I think
how
it
does
took me
that
like an
work?
hour.
With DC Universe, is it like Hulu where you're able to read it the next day, or is it like the week after or 2 weeks after?
It's like I believe it's only like a week or two behind. Or I
Not
think
bad.
it's
actually
like a
really
2 week
good.
delay. I will say it is far superior to Marvel Unlimited. Both are great
That's like 6
products.
months behind.
Yeah, I think it's like 4 months or so, which is a
Mhm.
long
4
time to
months?
wait. Yeah, it's like 3 to 4 months behind, which obviously if there's big events or whatever going on, like it sucks not being able to to read all that stuff on, in a timely manner.
Yeah.
So I think the DC Universe app is far superior in that regard. They are both great in the fact that obviously you get access to all of these comics all the way from you
Yeah.
can read the very first ever Captain America book all the way up to present time, or at least 4 months behind. So it's a great way to still read all of these books, but the DC one I will say is better.
In
But
particular, it's really good for the older books that, like Action Comics #1. Unless you are spending a ton of money, you are never actually going to get to read that book.
yeah,
But the
Yeah.
fact that it's on the app means, hey, you can still actually see those panels and still read that comic.
pretty cool.
That brings us to our sponsor, DC Universe, today. Use promo code DC Universe for 15% off of your subscription each month.
Don't use that code. We don't have
Exactly.
code.
That's not gonna work.
And
Come on, June Lee, give me a sponsor.
yeah, hook us up. Um,
Yeah, Absolute Superman.
Don't hook us up. Hook our fans up.
Hook our fans up. Yeah.
But
Silver Slurpee
yeah,
Box.
where nerds come to chill. Okay.
We're nerds. Chill.
But I did want to get your thoughts on Absolute Superman. I did kind of have a feeling that you would be that you would like it. Obviously, the writer of that is Jason Aaron, who wrote Thor: God of Thunder and just my favorite Thor storyline, which I also know was a big part of you becoming a big Thor fan. And I know you have enjoyed a lot of his work, so I'm super stoked to hear your thoughts on Absolute Superman so far.
Yeah, there was two things that really jumped out to me with Absolute Superman that I loved. The first was kind of a callback to his origins. A lot of the time in the very early Superman comics, before he had all the big crazy supervillains, a lot of times what he was doing was he was fighting frankly, he was fighting like corrupt companies. There would be various corrupt corporate executives that he would be basically ruining the day of in various ways, and that's kind of his origin. Was he was for the work? He was meant to be like a hero for like the common person, the working man. And so it was really cool to kind of see a return to form in that sense with a Superman that he's the entire run so far. He's gone up against some like superpowered villains, but his entire thing has been going around and specifically going after largely Lazarus Corp and the way that they've been essentially exploiting people.
The
Right, he's
minor.
breaking company towns, the miners. He took a swing at another company that is a toy manufacturer that's had serious safety issues, and basically put the fear of him into them. And so that was really cool. The second thing, a little goofier, was the kind of, I guess, callback to Silver Age Superman, where they went a little crazy with his powers. Seeing Superman inhale an entire wildfire and then
Was
breathe it back
sick.
out somewhere else was hype as all get out, but also kind of calls back to that kind of zaniness of powers, which to be clear, this isn't a complaint. It is kind of fun to see as almost that callback. But yeah, it had a lot of cool callbacks with also some really cool changes to his story with a Superman that actually grew up for a good chunk of his life with his parents.
How many issues in are you?
I
He's
read
on
everything except for
17.
17?
everything except the most recent issue.
And there's 18 issues out.
Is 7?
Yep.
Okay.
I've seen Brainiac, I've seen Lex Luthor.
Okay.
And all of that go down.
And
or at least
Hawk.
Hawk, yes. Hawkman has already shown up. And
did you read
Mhm.
Absolute Evil, the one shot that they put out in 2025?
I haven't yet.
Read
I have
that.
not yet. Mhm.
That was the first appearance of Absolute Hawkman, and something happened that was so cool. Spoiler alert, he kills Oliver Queen at the very end of the book. It came out 14 months ago, so.
There was a lot of things that were poked at with Absolute Batman in reference to things like Absolute, or in reference to things like Oliver Queen and that sort of thing. So I kind of figured that something had happened there. It is interesting that they're making. I'm gonna be real here. They are very much setting up Absolute Hawkman as, yes, he's trying to claim that he's a hero, but he very much is looking like a villain.
Oh,
He's
absolutely.
not.
Through and through. I think he's going to be quite the bad guy. I think Ra's al Ghul being a Superman villain has also been a ton of fun, super cool. I've really enjoyed not having like your stereotypical Lex Luthor or whatever. He's obviously kind of starting to get involved in the story, but I think it's been a really cool change, a lot of fun. Ra's al Ghul looks crazy. His massive like kryptonite sword and stuff has been pretty gnarly. So that's been a lot of fun, and just kind of the whole like War of Kansas was pretty cool.
I like how they handled Ra's al Ghul and the way that Superman kind of beat him. That was a really. Have you read? Have you been keeping up with Absolute Superman, Hondo?
I read 1, 2, and 3, and then I stopped, and then started at 15. So I've been on since 15, and I know that sounds stupid.
I think you may have skipped one of my favorite pieces of that comic. Have you seen the bit with Ra's in the cell and Superman is reading things to him?
The one in like 17 that happened when he was in the cell, or I think it was 17 or 18.
No, I think he may have seen what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, so the whole bit where the thing I loved was the fact that it was I think a good kind of harken back to kind of, they've always played with this idea that Ra's al Ghul does want to help the world in his own way, but he goes about it in this horribly twisted way. And so the way that they have Superman essentially like break him down by in a sense kind of showing him what he's done and like forcing him to grapple with the fact that all these people that he's done all this harm to are people, was really interesting, and I think might set up a really fun character when he gets dipped back in the Lazarus pit.
Well, those are the best villains too, right? the villains with good intentions, bad execution, but good intentions, right? And the ones that you connect with, and you're like, oh yeah, that actually makes sense.
I
think kill half the universe, but maybe we can do it a better way. Maybe there could be a lottery.
I think with that, if you enjoyed that, I think you'll be really stoked for issue 18, because Ra's is involved with that. Obviously, we get another major DC villain, anti-hero sometimes kind of guy. Depends on the story, but there's another major DC character that comes into issue 18. That being Black Adam. I won't obviously talk about that story or that issue a whole lot because you haven't read it yet. But issue 18 gets pretty crazy, and Ra's al Ghul is still involved, and that kind of what Superman's kind of counseling definitely plays a lot into Ra's al Ghul going forward, and I think that'll be very interesting to see what goes on with that.
And Silver Slurpee, you mentioned too the Kansas feel of things. Jason Aaron is the only person to write Superman that's actually from Kansas, born and raised. So that plays into the writing a little bit.
Fun fact, I did not know that.
Yeah, I found that out when he was at a panel at STCC. Before, I think it was the year before Absolute Superman came out. I didn't know who Jason Aaron was. Oopsies, sorry. But he said that, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. I never even thought of that. So I've kept that for the last few years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a super fun run. The art also has been fantastic. The art's been really cool. I think the addition of his cape has been pretty cool. Um, kind of a neat.
Brainiac in that
I
has
was
been
a kid.
such a wild character in so many ways.
So creepy.
Yeah.
So creepy.
Horrifying.
The end of like 16 or 17, where he's just in Lex Luthor's backyard, just chainsawing, ready to super
Oh,
And
cool.
wild.
another interesting like play with the AI stuff, with him twisting the words of people and doing like the absolutely atrocious counseling of the one Peacemaker,
Yeah.
like kind of showing that side of the generative AI mess stuff. That was interesting.
No, I think this Brainiac is going to be a serious problem going forward. And it sounds like Absolute Batman is going to at least 50 issues. I am assuming Absolute Superman will probably be going far into the future. So hopefully Absolute Superman keeps going because I'm really liking it. I honestly would love after seeing this, and I just love his work so much. I would love to see Jason Aaron get on mainline Superman whenever he gets returns from his hiatus. I think he would do so well with that. And I think one of my favorite things that Jason Aaron does is he takes obviously two of my favorite characters, Superman and Thor. Um, Not only has he written great stories for them, I think he has a great ability to let the characters be super strong. You get a lot of Superman writers that come in and they're scared. They're like, oh, like I don't want to make him too strong. I'm gonna make him weaker because like you you can't have this super powered character. Like nobody wants to read that story. His stories are boring or whatever. I completely disagree. I think some of Superman's best stories and Thor's best stories are when they are the powerhouses that they are. And I think Jason
Yeah.
Aaron does a great job of letting them be freaking these super powered beasts, and it's just a lot of fun to read.
You
The
don't want to
only
do a
time
Superman like they did with Thor?
I don't want to what?
A fat Superman like they did with Thor?
No, don't get me started on MCU Thor.
don't,
Don't start me on MCU Thor.
don't start me on MCU Thor either.
It's so bad. It's so
They
bad.
massacred my boy.
It's so bad. They really did. I I will say though, he has one of the coolest moments. As much as I hate MCU Thor, he's probably got easily top 3 moment of the entire MCU when he
With
arrives
what?
in Wakanda in Infinity War. It's so epic.
So
Super
epic.
sick.
I'm still so angry that they wasted Christian Bale Gore the God Butcher on that atrocity of a movie.
Oh. I did
I'm
send
gonna be real here. Christian Bale as Gore the God Butcher was like the only mildly redeeming part of that, because he is such a good actor that even with the hot garbage script that they got overall, he still managed to play a compelling God Butcher.
Yeah, and I think it's so crazy, especially with the direction that Loki has gone and so many of the other Marvel projects where they're time traveling, dealing with the multiverse, even the What If animated stuff. Obviously, they're dealing so much with, and even in Endgame when they're time traveling, they're dealing so much with multiverse and time stuff. The fact that they didn't bring in past, present, and future Thor to fight
Oh,
God Butcher, like, oh, I and that's one of the Marvel movies that I will say they very easily could have made that a 2-part Thor movie, which would have been epic.
yeah.
I
We
that
we talk about the animated villains being a problem all the time. But gosh, I mean, if you just got the person or the team that did Thanos and you animated Gore the God Butcher in that, rather than him being a true person, I think that would have been so better. And so much more true to the books. I think that just would have been so much
That's
better.
it. They did run into a bit of a design problem though, because I'm blanking on the name of him. They had a character as one of Thanos's, I think, Black Heralds,
Yeah,
very closely resembled Gore the God Butcher. So
that's
they had a design
exactly what
issue
I
there.
was thinking. Yeah, that's exactly what I
And
was thinking. Squidward, is that right? The
Yeah.
basically,
Iron.
yeah.
Um,
And like I said, Christian Bale carried that role so hard. I was honestly okay with the difference in design because at the end of the day, that doesn't, to me at least, in my view, that didn't matter too much to Gore as a character.
What
The
I'm saying is,
problems with the movie are actually nothing to do with him. I actually like Taika Waititi as a director, just not for Thor. He has some other movies that are absolutely fantastic. Jojo Rabbit is an amazing movie,
that was good. That was a good one. Yeah,
but
that was a good one.
I'm sorry, that's not who I want doing a Thor movie.
Yeah, if they animated Gore the God Butcher, I would just say get Christian Bale out of there and just have a decent voice actor do him. Like, don't waste Christian Bale's chops on that kind of thing. But I get why they did it so that you can see his face and
Mhm.
expressions and mannerisms and have him actually
Yeah.
flex his acting muscles. But gosh, I'm blanking on his name. Did you see it, Silver Slurpee?
I think they were probably either worried that he looked similar to Ebony Maw or Corvus Clave.
Ebony Maw. Ebony Maw is the one
Ebony Maw.
who's
there.
the
Yeah.
like magic user. Face
Yeah.
wise, certainly looks
Yeah.
pretty similar. But I'm like, you
Super.
make him pale white, and I think he's gonna look like Gore the God Butcher. I don't think people are gonna get
Yeah.
confused. Yeah, I think with Thor in the MCU, they've just, for whatever reason, it's like they're terrified of using his comics to
Mhm.
like, let that guide the MCU Thor. And they just seem like they want nothing to do with it. And they'll take the story or like characters, like they used Malekith, which they did a terrible job with Malekith as well in Thor: The Dark
Yeah.
World. Like
Yeah, 100%.
he's so non-memorable. I don't think most people even know his name or who he was in the Dark World movie.
He just looks like a Power Rangers villain, you
Yeah,
know?
Yeah.
and in the comics, he's such a great villain because he's kind of like a mix of like a Loki, a little bit of a Joker, um, and he's got some really cool powers. He's really strong, to go toe to toe with Thor, and I just feel like they just kind of said screw it, for that, like they do with most of Thor in the MCU. But
Basically.
Yeah, I hope Chris Hemsworth holds his Alzheimer's or whatever he's got going on hostage against Marvel and say that he's not going to do any of their future movies unless they do him justice.
yeah, I mean that's what
Yeah.
he said. I think he wants to play a little bit more of a serious role, but at the same time, I don't. I'm like, cool, like I agree with it, but at the same time, like 2 movies ago, he said he wanted to play more of a silly Thor character. So I'm like, all right, dude, you can't just go back and forth because your movies flop.
He
Yeah,
wants to
I'm
play
like,
whatever Thor character is going to make him money. That's what he really wants.
yeah, I'm like, all right, you had some success with Ragnarok, which I still didn't like that Thor either. And I think it's funny because you look at everyone hated Love and Thunder, and I'm like, well, you have most of the same issues in Love and Thunder, like stem from Ragnarok, and I think it's very similar. It's a very goofy, silly movie, and they're both super serious storylines that they just made jokes of, in the MCU, and like I think both of those are very similar in the ways that they sucked, and yeah, I don't know. I think Ragnarok did way more harm for Thor than it did good.
Yeah. Well, because it also locked him into a goofball role for whatchamajiggy? Uh, Infinity
Endgame.
War. Infinity War.
Endgame.
Endgame. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What legacy character would you guys like if they had to kill a legacy character in Doomsday? Who would you guys prefer they kill? for impact, or I'm just tired of them, or whatever. I think Thor would be a good one, and it would really show how powerful Doom is to kill somebody like that somehow.
I don't know, because I would like to see like Thor go and become like King Thor, kind of become the old King Thor like he does in the comics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like Chris Hemsworth, like obviously still looks great, can still play Thor, and then also having that role, like he's one of the few legacy characters that you can have get old and still be like a superhero in the world.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
you know,
100%.
the like Robert Downey Jr. can only do Iron Man for so long. We can't have Grandpa Iron Man out there, but I think we can still get a lot of years out of Hemsworth as Thor. I do agree. I'm all for characters getting killed off. I
Real
think
kill, not like Logan.
I think it adds to a level of
absolutely.
seriousness. It puts some stakes in the movies, which I think MCU lacks sometimes. For me, I think they severely missed out on killing this character already. But Star-Lord, I think, should have died in Guardians 3. They had the perfect opportunity. I thought he was going to die. I thought it would have been so well. It was so well done, and I was like, you already took like a tearjerker of a movie, and if you killed Star-Lord on top of it, it would have. I think that would have been such a good time and really, I don't know, kind of heightened the stakes for the Guardians characters too.
Yeah, the only one that's died permanently
absolutely.
Black Widow. Like that's it. Unless you guys have other ones to throw into the pot.
Quicksilver.
What happened in Guardians 3? I don't remember that movie at all. I think I was too busy being pissed off at someone talking behind me the whole movie. I couldn't focus.
So well done. Obviously, Guardians 3 has a lot to do with Rocket's past and his freaking horrible animal treatment and stuff was freaking gut wrenching. And then the end of that, like the ending fight, when all of the other Guardians come in to help Rocket, and Rocket's like, the name's Rocket Raccoon, and they fuck shit up. So cool. What's that?
That one fight scene in the hallway.
That was a great scene.
Oh, so sick. So sick.
So that was cool. And then as they're trying to get everyone off of the ship, like onto their other ship, Star-Lord goes to try to save someone at the end, or like a animal or a creature or something. I forget exactly. But he ends up getting like lost out there in space, starts to like freeze and die in space. And I think everyone thought he was going to die, ended up making it. And it was like, like, I think they missed a great opportunity. Like, you're wrapping up the trilogy of Guardians to kill freaking Star-Lord. I think it would have been super impactful. I think he's not like an OG Avengers legacy character, but I would consider him pretty much a legacy character at this point.
Yeah, but he's big enough to make an impact if they kill him. And his paycheck then goes away in future movies. So I imagine Marvel likes that. He'll be popular in other movies, so it's not like they're taking away.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he's a popular character despite what people think of Chris Pratt. He's a popular character, and I would like to see him go forward. But yeah, I would like to see someone die and actually have stakes, actually have some nuts in these movies, which I think will actually happen in Doomsday and actually happen in Secret Wars, if they know what's good for them. But we'll see what ends up happening.
Yeah, there's no way to know. I feel like they're allergic to actual stakes, because I'm willing to bet that a big part of them being willing to kill off Black Widow was probably that Scarlett Johansson had basically come to them and gone, "Hey, listen, I'm kind of done with this. So you guys can kill me off because I'm not planning on coming back for much more."
Yeah, I don't know. I think looked interesting. And then it's kind of funny. So, on the Escape podcast, they had I'm gonna blank on his name, Ryan. You can probably look him up, but like the head of Marvel
Mhm.
Television, essentially. He was on the
Okay.
Escape podcast recently and talked about
Mhm.
some really cool stuff. We totally go check it out. But he mentioned the fact that when
Is it
Black
Blue?
Widow was killed, when she was killed in Endgame, they had already planned her having a movie, but they were not planning on her dying in Endgame. So they were planning on her
Oh,
like having
that's interesting.
a current timeline MCU movie, and they killed her, and they're like, uh, this is gonna be
Wow.
tough. So I was like, that's kind of interesting. Obviously, what the MCU's done, like movie wise, has been insane, and I'm sure obviously the level of collaboration has been far and above like anything DC's done or failed to do at this point. But
Oh,
um,
sorry about that.
I think I thought it was kind of interesting. I was like, wow, like I don't know
Do you think that they had
some of the
Florence Pugh's character planned out as being a current character as her sister, or do you think that they were like, "Oh, we got to go back in time. Let's figure this out"?
I don't think they planned out obviously some of these characters kind of becoming in or coming into the roles that they did, just kind of
Yeah,
based off some of that information. And
Yeah.
I think obviously they do a pretty good job of trying to stay within continuity of most of the MCU projects and stuff. But I think obviously some of these guys get word of like, hey, you're gonna have this Secret Wars movie in 3 or 4 years, but it's like that director or writer of the script or whatever may not be involved in the 4 years of Marvel
Mhm.
movies prior to it. So they just kind of have to, when they get to that point of Secret Wars, they have to work with what they got, which I think props to the Russo brothers because they've apparently showed a first like early screening to a lot of bigwigs, and I've heard nothing but fantastic things about Avengers Doom. And
I heard better
uh,
than Infinity War, but
yep,
it could have been baloney. You don't know.
um, yeah, but I mean, I have faith in the Russo brothers, but I think that's pretty crazy, and like that's obviously a lot to work with. The Russo brothers don't do a lot of other Marvel projects, so I think it's pretty impressive that they're able to walk into these massive team movies and be like, all right, well, we're gonna pluck this person from here, we're gonna grab this Infinity Stone from this movie, and we're gonna do this from this movie, and we're just gonna make it all come together, and it's gonna be pretty cohesive and like it's pretty
Yeah.
well done. It's pretty impressive.
Well, that may be their
Yep.
niche. Like Electric State with Chris Pratt and Millie Bobby Brown did terrible, and I think it was
Yeah.
expensive movie Netflix has ever funded. The Gray Man with Chris Evans and Ryan Gosling, I enjoyed that, but it didn't, blow the doors
Was
off of
super
anything.
disappointed with the Electric State because the art project that spawned that is freaking dope. But if you've ever seen some of the artwork that the artist had put together for that, it's so cool looking.
I've heard,
And
yeah,
then they just completely bombed on making that like a decent movie.
yeah.
Right on. Well, oh, one more thing that I did want to bring up. I know you guys haven't watched it. Invincible has been phenomenal.
Yeah, I
Oh,
need to hop on and get myself caught up. I've
and
seen some of it.
and I think the mix of having Invincible and Daredevil coming out every week has been so much fun. So cool.
So
It's just been
And
a blast.
for the
it's
record with Invincible, because I've been seeing so many people complain and whinge online about the animation. The animation that we're getting is what they're able to do on the budget that Amazon is willing to give them with a timeline that people are not going to be angry at. They would need a lot longer to do more in detail animation at the budget that they've been given. It's not their first choice. I'm willing to bet. And frankly, the animation is fine. They're definitely saving their money though for the big fights is what's happening.
Yeah, and I think the animation has been obviously it's been a little lackluster at parts, but I think all in all, like animation's
Sure.
still good. And I think obviously you get a lot of people that compare it to anime, but I also look at anime and it's like they'll save their budget for 10 episodes and hardly animate anything. Because they'll focus on like a character's face and let them monologue inside their brain what's going on for 5 minutes of an episode. And it's like, okay, well, like you're saving a bunch of money on your animation there, and you're not really animating a whole lot. Versus
Take a
Invincible,
look.
obviously, every scene people are talking, walking, moving, and everything like that. So I don't think it's necessarily all bad. And the story certainly makes up for it. And there have still been some really well done and cool animated scenes in the last couple episodes, especially.
Take a look at One Punch Man season 3 if you want to talk about bad animation.
Yeah.
That has some atrociously bad animation.
And I will
So
say,
even anime is not immune to it.
oh, for sure. And I think that's just what a lot of people compare it to, and they'll compare it to like they'll take like a 20-second fight scene out of 1,000 episodes of One Piece, and they're like, it's the greatest animation ever. And I'm like, well, not really. Like, not if you look at the
Yeah.
show as a whole, or if you look at other, not, it's just a kind of broad example, but if you look at some of these shows as like a whole, I would say, I don't think they are. Yeah, they have some great moments. And I do really like the art style for Invincible. Even if the animation
Yeah.
necessarily isn't up to par, I love the art. Obviously, it's still, remotely true to the comics. I would like to see. I think they could have made Battle Beast look a little cooler. That's the only character that I'm a little bit bummed with, like art wise. But I think the art still looks great.
You get one
He's
blind
tricky
back, and now you're like, oh, his animation needs to be better.
He is tricky because he is, if you look at the comics with all the shading and detail they do on his fur, he is one of the most like elaborate characters. He is hard to translate to a reasonable animation.
Yeah. I think he's a little more jacked in the comics too. I think they made him a little smaller in the show. But
I think actually one of the biggest differences is he's actually just more consistent in size in the show.
yeah, probably.
If you take a look at some of the different art panels for him in comic, sometimes he is massive, other times he is like eye level with Invincible. And it's like there's not as much consistency, I feel like, in that.
That
And
might be true.
what days does Invincible come out each week?
Tuesdays, I think.
I think so.
So we have, which we haven't talked about. I'm surprised. Silver Slurpee. Maul, Shadow Lord comes out Mondays.
Yep.
Daredevil Born Again Tuesdays, and I guess Invincible on Tuesdays, right?
Yep.
Then we have The Boys on one of those days. I think either Wednesday or Thursday. And there's one more. We're just eating real good right now. It's a really good time.
Super exciting. I think there's a lot coming with Marvel, a lot coming with DC. Super stoked for Supergirl. Obviously love the Superman movie. Can't wait to see where that goes. Green Lantern. I'm excited for it, but put out a better hype trailer. And I think there's a lot of fun stuff coming. Obviously, we got the Wolverine game.
And you said it earlier. Last year was the summer of Superman, comic-wise. This year is the summer of Supergirl. I don't know if you saw that. So.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, and the way that it aligns with the movies, what a surprise, right? Marketing. But yeah, this year is the summer of Supergirl. So.
I'm curious if they'll do that with some. Obviously, it probably won't be like Summer of Batman, but but I'm curious if they'll do that with some of the other characters. Like maybe Green Lantern will get a little bit more of a push in the comics during that time frame. That'd be kind of cool. I don't know if I need like 5 Green Lantern titles, but I think it would be kind of fun.
No, we need at least 7.
They barely have.
Maybe do an
So,
extra mini series or something like that.
yeah, they have Absolute Green Lantern and then just the ongoing Green Lantern, which seems to not be a monthly. It seems to be like a quarterly that they've been doing. So,
Yeah. And then I think Absolute Martian Manhunter finally ended.
yeah,
Or was announced that it was ending.
Yeah.
Which that one I think I never read it. I will on the DC Universe app. I think it was probably a little too niche to stay around as a long-term ongoing.
I've never done mushrooms, so I haven't read Absolute Martian Manhunter. It's a little.
Oh, it is pretty
Yeah, I've seen
trippy.
some of the art. It was definitely. I haven't read it yet myself. That's probably the next thing on my list for reading, because it. Honestly, looks right up my alley in a lot of ways. But yes, that is definitely going to be a head trip of a book. I can already tell.
Absolute Catwoman, obviously coming out
Yes.
in May, I think.
Yeah, Absolute Green Arrow comes out the first week of May, and I think Catwoman is a couple weeks before that, maybe the week before. So we have 2 more Absolutes coming out, which I'm excited
Yeah,
about.
and some of the art that I've been seeing for Absolute Green Arrow looks pretty gnarly.
Sick. Yeah,
Nice.
super, super cool. And the writer is pretty unknown, so I'm interested to see how it ends up going.
Yeah,
They,
I think we're eating really good right now, just in the world of being a nerd. I think
Absolutely.
I think Marvel like comics has kind of taken a lot of flack over the last year, but in all honesty, I think there's also been a lot of good stuff. Like Stephanie Phillips' Daredevil, I think, is gearing up to be awesome. Her Ghost Spider run was awesome. There was certainly a lot of good Ultimate stuff. I think it's kind of a bummer that they're bringing, the Ultimates universe to an end, but I don't think it's been
it's
all
going to
bad with
turn into
Marvel either.
something else.
So yeah, so
Yeah.
I think there's been a lot of good stuff from comics to movies,
Mhm.
TV, and video games, which has been a lot of fun. I don't think you often get that where it seems like everything's just kind of firing on all cylinders. So I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about in the coming weeks as Daredevil obviously gets closer and closer to its end. Invincible gets closer
Yep.
and closer to its end of their season. Um, so yeah, I think we'll have a lot of fun stuff to talk about. But thanks to everyone for hanging out with us, and we will see you all on the next one.